with the main event, a lightweight bout here. Dylan Salvador, as I touched on earlier, coming in at minus 160 against Bolaji Okai, sitting at plus 130. This is going to be a scrap for sure. 30 years of age for Dylan Salvador, 5'9" for him, 5-1 in MMA, 7-1 in MMA for Bolaji Oki. 27 years of age for him, coming in here fighting out of Belgium. I believe he is Nigerian, though, but he fights and trains in Belgium. France is the nationality for Dylan Salvador. I touched on it earlier. Salvador has a kickboxing fight in glory against Giga Chikadze and beat him. So, I mean, you look at the striking there, it's definitely high level when he's on the feet. That was at 143 pounds. He's going to be fighting this at 155. He's gone back and forth between featherweight and lightweight in his MMA career as well. Fought on Eagle FC 44 back in January 2022. And he's got a bunch of wins by submission. So, I mean, if you just look at how he gets his wins, you might not know he's a really good kickboxer. But if you watch his fights, you'll definitely see that, because the way he beats up people's legs, they start falling to the ground, and he's able to finish them off on the ground, which is very impressive for a guy that has an extensive kickboxing career. If you look at Bolaji Oki, 7-1, he hasn't lost since his professional debut in 2018. He is a very good striker as well. I mean, his fight, if you watch some of his fights, he's aggressive, he's durable, he can mix it up as well. He had that fight with Nair Malikian, who was 13-0, an Armenian fighter, 13-0, and it was a dog fight. He was kind of back and forth, and it was a really fun fight to watch. But coming in here, Salvador is the favorite, Oki the dogs. I don't think there's any wrong side. Like, either way, if you take one of these fighters, you're going to have confidence going into the fight that they could pull it off. So I don't know, maybe you'd look at it and say it's more closer to a 50-50, but what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, both of these guys, there's a lot to like on both sides. Like you mentioned, man, Salvador's got the glory kickboxing background. Beating a guy like Chikadze in strictly kickboxing is impressive, because we see it time and time again in the UFC. Like, Chikadze is on another level than a lot of guys he fights, if it's standing at range. So to beat him in that sport makes you kind of, keep your eye on him and watch out for that. And the submissions thing was super interesting to me too. Like, you look at that, you're like, wait a second, this is a glory kickboxer who's very, very skilled. Why has he got all these submissions on his record? And, like you said, man, the leg kicks are nasty. He finds them, he hides them well, and he does a lot of damage when he lands them. And you call that club and sub, gets his opponents hurt, gets them on the ground, and it's a good sign that he can get submissions as well. Like, he's not just a knockout or bust, or has to keep it on the feet. Like, this dude is a pretty well-rounded mixed martial artist already for having that glory kickboxing background. Like, you don't see that too often at this level. So that's super impressive. And he's a good counter striker too. You look at Oki, he's pretty big for the division. Like, when you look at him, at least on his tape, like, he's bigger than guys. Hasn't fought the best competition always. I know he did get that win over the 13-0, and that was impressive. Like you said, back and forth. Showed that he can go 3 rounds. He can fight hard, and he's kind of a dog. So that's a good sign too. I like this fight for the fact that, if he gets in trouble on the feet, because he's a good striker on the feet, Oki is, but if he gets in trouble just being outmatched, he can wrestle, and he's strong too. So, maybe he does get his hands locked and taken down. I don't think you're going to see Salvador. Of course, he has the submissions on his record, but it's not like they're coming off of his back, or he's, getting these crazy submissions or anything. So it makes it super interesting, because on the feet, Oki has the power to put him down as well. Like, if he catches him right, like, he's a strong, powerful striker. And the one thing I don't like here is if Eddie stays at range and he can't find the knockout, he kind of just uses that jab every now and then looks for one big power shot on the feet. Like, I don't think he's going to win a decision if this thing stays on the feet for 3 rounds to a guy like Salvador. Other than that, though, I think we're in for a hell of a fight. Like, this is a really, really fun one. I'm going to stick with Salvador. I think that the gas tank is probably better, and I think Oki might need a better gas tank here if he's going to be taking body kicks and leg kicks. And, if he can't get the fight to the ground and he burns a lot of energy trying, I think he'll be in some serious trouble as the fight goes on. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with Salvador here, but this is going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, this is a really tough one, because I want to lean the guy in Bolaji who's like bigger. I mean, like 5'9" at lightweight, you got to be pretty thick. You got to be pretty athletic to be 5'9" at lightweight, or at least maybe even a wrestler. Like Salvador as a kickboxer coming in here against a lightweight who's 5'10", but also, I mean, he's pretty well built for weight. So he's probably going to look a little bit bigger going in there. I don't know if Salvador's put on like some decent size since, I mean, he lost or last fought in featherweight at 2021 or 2022 in January. But he's coming in here. I think if he attacks the legs early and he's able to chop those legs down early, he could take over as the fight goes on. He's not like some massive power puncher in that Salvador is. Like you look at his fights in Glory, it's a lot of decisions. And even in MMA, he's only got one knockout. So he's going to have to chop the legs. I want to lean Bolaji as the underdog because I do think this is kind of 50-50. So by that logic, if I was going to bet on it, I'd probably bet on Bolaji. But who do the UFC rather have? I mean, we are in Paris this weekend in the UFC. You got the France fighter here. It's a tough one. For the sake of the show, I'm going to go with Bolaji. But yeah, it's a tough one. I think both guys have a very, very solid shot to win.